For me, environmental justice is a theoretical concept to detect unjust distribution of environmental burdens or resources and to detect unjust processes in environment-related decision-making.
Environmental justice, for me, is the concept that considers this triple jeopardy, where the people from lower socioeconomic status and ethnic minorities are also facing this disproportionate distributions of the environmental benefits and burdens that is affecting the health of the people inequitably.
I'm very much interested to see how people actually cope with environmental bads and how their past experiences have influenced their coping behavior over time, in order to see how, for example, past experiences shape their perception of themselves as how people perceive themselves as actors that can influence change and actually play a role in shaping their environments.
The main aim for my research is to analyze to what extent this technology-based that consider this spatial approach, how can this technology help the stakeholders to communicate with each other, to collaborate and to come together and work with these specific issues of environmental health. It needs the collaboration between people from various organizations from various sectors such as health or the planning or the NGOs, so they need to come and collaborate. So with this my contribution of my research would be to support them to collaborate, support them to exchange their views or to even to understand each other, because I believe that people, they see the situations from their own disciplines, so they need to first understand each other, so in order to again work for the solutions of any specific problem.
We have to draw attention to the question how all research can lead to action as well, or at least to be a basis for action. So that's what I would call a pragmatical aspect. Where, when, and how can a theoretical concept of environmental justice help me to act, for example, on environmental burdens in deprived areas?
I think environmental justice research has focused a lot on the community level, on the international level, but I think there hasn't been enough research focusing on the role of individuals and how individuals and households actually perceive and experience environmental justice issues. So in my research, I actually adopt a more psychological perspective to understand how people actually perceive their ability to act as change makers in a way and to get involved in environmental decision-making processes. Having its basis in the US, I think environmental racism is an important topic that came up and shaped the whole discussions. But of course we have to see that, for example, in other countries the situation is different.
I think environmental racism can be, among others, part of environmental justice research. And there I would like to emphasize the term among other parts. So first of all, I think racism is a concept you always have to think about very carefully. There have been many racisms in history, and each was very specific and linked in various ways, with the societies in which it has occurred. Therefore, as well, I think research on environmental racism on the American continent, for example, would lead to very different theoretical concepts, different empirical findings, and policy implications, for example, than research in Europe or Asia would.
In my research, what I have realized so far is that this environmental racism would not be my concern. So in the context of Germany, in the context of Dortmund or Northeast, that Yes, there are higher share of migrant people, and we see that okay, there are people who are migrants, and the situation there is also not so good compared to the other part of the city. But it doesn't mean that it is related to the racism. I would not see as the racism, but environmental justice as such, since it considers the social inequalities, that would be a framing for my research instead of the environmental racism.